Hello and welcome everyone. My name is still Maro the Cat. Thank you for stopping by. Today is another Warhammer video. Warhammer, yes, yes, yes. Warhammer, let's go. I was a little bit preoccupied with like Monster Hunter Wilds coming out. I've been playing like 12 hours when it came out and I'm not gonna lie, I passed out. I'm completely passed out after that. So let's get into another Bricky video.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them,
The
you will not be
Omnissiah.
getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending
No
on
legs.
which faction we are currently talking about to add a little bit more context and possible comedy to
the
whatever
wee
hell I am
blacks. Oh no.
currently doing. So, hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and
Hello,
this is
Bricky.
going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is, I need two hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40K race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little
Every
bit of
single
explanation,
one?
a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking
The
about
video is
tabletop,
only
most
50 minutes
lore,
long?
what they're all about, and also
I don't
a little bit of
believe that.
background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is. Now you see, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about.
That is so
They
true
see,
though,
oh,
like,
there's these dudes in
who
big
doesn't
power
know
armor
about
with
Warhammer at this
chainsaw
point?
swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs, and then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of
radical
knowledge,
viewer.
but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So overall, the Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore and background.
That's
and
an
each different
understatement,
faction is
I'm
so
pretty
different
sure.
with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided to embark on this project.
I'm always a
to
bit
tell you
confused about,
what
like,
each and every single one of them is about.
does every
and what the
alien
Warhammer
faction
universe is about as
worship
well.
chaos,
So to give
or
at least
does
a little
just
bit of an intro
some
to
of
this
them?
extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40K universe, at least all the factions
Let's
you
go.
can play as, and some smaller factions.
I'm
here and
100%
there.
sure
I will
there are
not be
some I don't know
discussing
yet.
Absolutely everything in it, because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well, in case you were curious about that. But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man.
You know, if I would have the time, I feel like it literally is time for me. If I would have the time, I would learn how to get into the tabletop. I would love to just nerd out, stand there for hours and play the tabletop game with my army that I made, that I painted myself, with a specific paint job that I wanted, not even like the original paint that they are lore-wise accurate, just my own, and I would just play the hell out of it. By the way, sorry for the random stopping there, Bricky. I didn't choose the best moment for that, but well, just continue.
Because that takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore. Oh, boo-hoo. What is Warhammer 40,000? Well,
Good
the
question.
40,000 starts off is the year 40,000. The 41st millennium, that's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD. You're already more knowledgeable.
I guess that
Let me
makes
read
sense.
you a quote, first of many quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth.
Okay.
He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die.
How?
To be a man in such times is to be a monk.
You know, I'm curious about one thing. I'm always was curious from every single thing that comes up about Warhammer. Yes, the Emperor is still alive, somewhat, and he needs souls to survive every single day, like 1,000, I think. First up, who are those souls? Are they volunteering? How do they get sacrificed? And how does the Emperor, just get them? I highly doubt they put 1,000 people into a blender, mix it up, put it in a stew, and then feed it to the Emperor with like a spoon, like a soul soup or something. I highly doubt that's the case. So if anyone could enlighten me, please do so.
Amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity
Peace was
of
never an
carnage
option.
and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods. Everything blows, and it blows fucking hard. Warhammer is probably the most dark and depressing universes ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling
God, the
itself out.
dreadnoughts look so freaking
Dota.
cool, though.
War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a
It is
rotting
1,000.
carcass of a man
How?
who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just
Please tell me,
demons
someone.
tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody.
Is there
Planets
any
are deemed
peace anywhere in this
unrecoverable
universe,
and are
is my question.
completely destroyed on a whim.
Or it's just
Everything
literally
sucks.
every planet
That's
like
the
war,
charm
war,
of it.
war, war,
See,
war.
everything in Warhammer is evil. But being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity, in its own right, is a xenophobic, prejudiced, and religious zealot group
It
that
is fun
kill
to be
each
evil.
other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid to high tier evil on the evil
It's
scale
Tau.
of Warhammer.
Why are the Tau
Nobody's
players up
good.
there?
No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it. Because being the bad guy is badass. Villains are cool. They look cool. They got cool outfits. They got cool weapons. They got cool armies.
He has a
Villains are
point.
cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what
Also
makes
true.
this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
Man. Whack. He's here. Whack.
The Imperium of Man
love
is
that.
the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the Emperor of mankind, a 10-foot-tall psychic
10-foot
god
tall.
who led humanity across the stars.
That would be
to
perfect
colonize
in, like,
tons and
dating
tons
profile.
Of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age. This man, the Emperor of Mankind, was a psyker. And a psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40K, there is the warp, the immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through
So the
their
warp
mind to
is
use it
not
to
a
do
f-
stuff.
a-
Well,
a
like
physical
witchcraft
space, or it
stuff,
doesn't
magician stuff,
exist.
spells, and lots of other
It
things, but
exists,
we don't want to get too
like,
into that. The Emperor,
in your
big boy
mind?
psyker, top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons known as the Primarchs. He created
Yeah,
20.
I know about them.
18.
I also know that
18
there are
Primarchs
only
to have
18.
them lead
2 got
all of the different
redacted in a way.
legions of humanity to the different stars and planets to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarchs are basically like little
that looks so
versions of the
badass,
Emperor.
though.
Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 other, well, I guess 8, 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is, remember what I mentioned earlier? The Warp, that Immaterium, the Hellish
What's the
place?
time span on that?
There
Like,
relies
how
the
long
4
did the Horus
Chaos
Heresy
gods.
actually take?
Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The Warp being kind of evil, those Chaos gods, that's the reason. And so those Chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant
Yeah, I really
coup
wonder
directly
how
on
long
the
that
Emperor on
took.
Earth.
How long
And
did it
they
take for him to
fucked
corrupt
up
all the
shit.
Primarchs? Like
After
all
this
the
huge civil
8
war,
other
Horus
Primarchs.
died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor. And right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away.
I've heard that the Emperor is also like
so long as he
a
stays
being
alive and
that
is
cannot
fed
really die. So even if
1,000
he would
people
die, he
a
would
day.
just
The
reincarnate.
Astronomicon is like the North
So the fact
Star.
that they
If
keep
you
him
wanna do
alive on his throne
interstellar
is
travel in 40K, you need to pass
not good
through
at all.
that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going.
Emperor
If you
has
wanna
become
go
like, I
from
don't know,
Earth to some
a device
crazy
for
solar
telling
system across
direction.
the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like doing nether travel in Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people
Alive
a
in
day to
quotes.
stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone.
Yeah, but
For
he
all
would come
humanity.
back, right?
You're so boned. Now, since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now
guess
believe
that's
the
the
Emperor of
last thing
Mankind
the Emperor
was a
wanted.
deity, a true living god, which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have
Oh,
wanted to be remembered.
that's what I said.
So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this
Ooh, that's a
giant
building.
church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God
Do
Emperor
people
of
in Warhammer
mankind.
pay
And
like
all of
church
the
taxes?
Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them. If you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. Heretics die in 40K. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you are against the Emperor.
Okay, so
there is no
everything
such thing as
is
any kind of tolerance.
bad. Like,
Everyone
really
is a
bad.
religious zealot. Some more than others, but no matter what.
What if you don't believe in
preach that good
something?
word. So
Like,
right
what if you
now,
don't believe in the
everyone
Emperor,
in
but just
humanity
don't
is
believe in
trying to
anything at all?
expand their
Does it make you a
empire
heretic
across the
as well?
stars.
And
If
you're
you
like,
are a heretic,
die?
someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic.
You answered my
You deserve
question.
death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well. So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
the first faction.
Shit now, man. You finished?
And that looks like
The
stand-up
Imperial
military to
Guard
me.
is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women.
How many
wearing
planets does
modern day
humanity
like flat
inhabit?
armor with a laser rifle? This is the humble las gun.
Okay.
The main weapon of the Imperial Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams. It can blow off limbs.
That sounds pretty good.
Giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day.
Yeah.
It is one of the weakest in the 40K universe. Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams. It can
I
blow
guess
off
that
limbs,
makes
one of
sense
the
from
weakest
what
weapons.
I've seen.
That's the world we're in right now. But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women. 30,000
They're just
large
cannon
armored tanks,
fodder at this
10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II
How does
style
someone
aesthetic
survive
with
as
legions
a
of guardsmen
just
as well
guardsman?
as high company commanders and generals
I guess you
on the field
don't.
along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles.
I guess,
as
if, they have normal or the weakest weapons, like among the factions. Okay, I get that. But what if you put like 500,000 and they all fire at the same time at the same object or thing or enemy? I guess that would still hurt, So, anyway, I guess this can work, but they must have so many casualties. Like, that's insane.
tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions of guardsmen. It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower. They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Catachin jungle fighters live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefighter will ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking giant.
I don't know. Somehow they don't look like they would survive long against
anywhere near as
a
scary
Necron, I
as a
think.
simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan winter soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years, the Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle, and then of course the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export
What happened to
of
Cadia?
guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and
5.
reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention
Holy.
Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears
Why?
and sadness,
Why?
like I do, Dave.
What happened to
quote,
Cadia?
I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my
sentence
personal favorite
goes
faction in
hard.
40K. They're the army I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man with a laser rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just poetic. They actually represent the main
How
Imperial
do you
Guard
win
tactics
with them,
pretty
though?
well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line
Like
of
in the
sight,
tabletop, do you
lots
just
of
have like
tanks,
5 times
tons
more
of infantry,
models than the
drop
enemy?
troops and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Space Marines.
I mean, I know of them.
The Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened, their bones are stronger, they're taller than the average person. They're pretty massive people, and these are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific
Where's this
tasks
animation
for the
from?
Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I mentioned before,
we learned about them.
oversees
It's
their
18.
legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like
seed.
superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines, Jagatai Khan has the White Scars, Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists, Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard. There's a whole bunch of other side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast. In fact, it's been said that nothing that large should move that quick. These men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds. Their reflexes are faster. Their skin is tougher. They are overall just.
I've seen them running. It's terrifying.
In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman are the main blue boys. Strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little bit.
They are literally the bread and butter of Space Marine.
The White Scars by Jagatai Khan are all about speed freaks, go fast. We're talking attack bikes, we're talking land speeders. You want to go in quick, you want to hit them hard, you want them to be swarming around like buzzflies. Buzz saws. With the speed of buzz saws. Fuck you, Pale King. Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge.
The random,
flamers,
the random insert of Hollow Knight.
Burning. That's big. And they're also actually some of the nicest of the Space Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this kind of like holier than thou thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the lives.
I wonder why that is. Is that because the gene set of their Primarch compels them to be
regular black,
nicer?
Like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior and blazing.
They look a little bit like me,
eyes.
but I don't have
Apparently
red eyes.
About living on their home planet of Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much sense, but who cares? This is like fantasy land anyway. Overall, Salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as.
I've heard a lot of people that's their favorite one. Like the Salamanders seem to have a good standing in the Warhammer 40K
oh my God, we're not
community.
even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine legions. Imperial Fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven Guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets. Iron Hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space Wolves, Vikings, and wolves, tons of wolves, and axes.
I love them.
Everywhere. Space Wolves.
They're being really good at being sold.
Blood Angels, the genetic defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy, called the Red Thirst.
Tragic.
Cupid wings and stuff, which is a little bit strange, and they are all super gay for Sanguinius. Dark Angels are old school knights and inner circle theme and.
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never. Once from the blue moon, I know.
Death Watch, a fancy anti-Xenos group that nobody plays because Death Watch, and they look cool though, but no one plays them. I don't know about Death Watch. They're there though.
Why does no one play Death Watch?
For the people who, if you haven't prayed at least 3 times a day, you're gonna start praying out that airlock, and I'm sure there's some other chapters I may have missed as well, like Crimson Fists and stuff, but those are the main ones right here. Here, quote from the Emperor himself. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease,
like
no
pure
shall
gold.
blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategies, and machines that
all
no
go
foe
so
will
hard.
best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are my defenders of humanity. They are my space marines, and they shall know no fear. And on the tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard.
Are there
As
space marines
Space
who are like, you know,
strong? That might change at some point, but
fearful?
overall, Space
They
Marines
actually
are. It's like a Swiss Army knife.
They know
A
fear,
tool
or
for
they
anything
don't
you need,
perform as well.
Except it's like a gold-plated Swiss Army knife. It is extremely strong. If you are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether you want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast and run in, or even just full melee, all of these options are totally there for you.
When it comes to the tabletop, I guess there's a meta, right? There is something that would change up here and there. Overall, what would you guys say who play the game maybe? Who has the advantage is it like, then again, faction to faction different? Like the orcs are strong against like this kind of space marine who like to hunker down and be defensive, or is there anyone where you say, oh, this is way too overpowered? Like this faction, I only heard once a thing that Tau is really good at shooting, but that's all I know. I'm not sure if that still is the case. So if anyone has experience of that, feel free to tell me in the comment.
Space Marines are super badass, but unfortunately, it's time we start praying to our new god, the 2011 Honda Civic.
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology! The Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are a technophile cult on Mars. Now, these people are a little bit weird because they don't actually
They look a
really
little bit weird.
believe in the Emperor of Mankind. And you might think, oh,
What?
whoa, Berkey, that sounds like
So they are
some
heretics.
heresy.
Yeah.
A little bit. They believe in
What do
the
you mean a
Emperor,
little bit?
They believe in his power, but they don't pray to him. They pray to something called the Omnissiah. And the Omnissiah is this kind of machine god that they believe permeates in all machines.
That's not allowed.
And if you think, well, wait a minute, they believe in a different god as well?
Yeah.
That sounds like super heresy. Well, yes-ish, but they
Yes-ish.
also make all your guns, and they make all your tanks, and they make everything that you
Okay,
have.
so you cannot piss them off.
So you can't really tell them to fuck off because you're not going to win nothing if you don't got stuff to shoot people with. See, their
But-
Omnissiah at least makes sense from their
But that
standpoint. They
still
believe
is
it to be a
heresy,
deity that permeates
right?
through all machines. Your Honda Civic, your standard bolt gun,
Mm.
your Dune Strider Walker, your giant mechs, your huge ships. The Omnissiah is present through all. And the only reason your stuff works
Mm.
is because the machine's spirit in it says it works. If you want your gun to work, your tank to run, you must pray to it. And I mean full stop. You need to start
That is-
chanting in high Gothic. You need to burn incense. You need to sit on your knees.
Okay,
and
but
pray
what if-
to that car? You need to rub oil.
What if
on
if
your
you're
robe,
just starting
you
to
need go,
pray
"Humana,
to the machine
humana,
god
humana,
and say like,
humana,
hey,
humana,
machine
humana."
god?
Full stop. If you want your damn
And
thing
then
to
there's
work,
a
you
space
want
marine
your
next
gun
to you.
fire,
Does the space
you
marine
need to
just
do
like, I
that.
don't know,
They are
punch you in the
very
back or?
bizarre, and they actually have a bit of a point because it's obviously working. And if you look at them, I don't know how that works. So they obviously know something about what they're doing. The most notable member of the Adeptus Mechanicus is Archmagos, Magos, whatever, Belisarius Call. Look at this dude. Look at this dude. Yeah, this is the group we're talking about. These
Yeah.
are these weirdos. Here.
He looks
the
a little bit weird.
Omnissiah Creed. The credo, Omnissiah. There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no
Okay.
strength in flesh, only weakness. There
All
is
right.
no constancy in flesh, only decay.
Mm-hmm.
There is no certainty in flesh, but death. Flesh is weakness. Flesh
Again,
is death. The
a very hard
Omnissiah is
sentence.
the God of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish to give unto him, you must saw down your limbs and remove your organs and replace them with mechanical parts, because that is what he wants, and that is how you will become
Okay.
enlightened. Hard technophiles mixed with religious extremism. Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, for their army side of things, they are with the Scutari. The Scutari operate with very bizarre weaponry and lots of different kinds of vehicles, tanks, and different people
So
in between.
before they
They're
shoot,
very
do they
but
have to pray to the
extremely
weapon?
Wacky and enjoyable, and in fact quite effective both in the real game and in the lore, weaponry and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different shenanigans. But if you like kind of that quirky.
I imagine in the tabletop, you know, when you play them and you wanna like shoot the enemy, you have to like start praying, please, dear God, you gave us this rifle. Please let me hit that headshot. I would love I would love to see that at once.
Wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. hell, they're so paranoid. I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again.
How does only one guy know that though? Did he not write it down?
Until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle. Yep. The Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though, let's talk about the Sisters of Battle.
A simp has fallen for an ego in Lego City.
The Sisters of Battle of the Adeptus Sororitas, if that's how I pronounce it correctly, is an all-female group of battle sisters going through the ecclesiarchy section of the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a
So they are
private
hardcore
army
nuns
of the church, which is scary. And it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force, and they take this to a full extreme. They believe in three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire. Through the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos.
How do they get chosen, and how do you become a sister? You know, Space Marines are made, right? So how do you become a sister?
Will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons: the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, and they will do so with extreme prejudice. Literally. They are the closest things we have to nuns in space. And I'm talking hardcore nuns. They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is a fucking pipe organ missile launcher. They have
that is crazy cool.
That they have removed their brain capacity to make them little servant cherubs to fly around and give them ammunition and shit.
Okay, that is weird as hell.
Churches from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battles. They drop churches into battles, and they blare war hymns.
Why would you drop a church?
Frigates in low atmosphere and shower holy water across the battlefield. These are the people you are dealing with, and they're fucking awesome. They can literally stave off demons on the tabletop because their faith is that strong. Remember the warp, the demons from the warp?
Yes.
Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive, go through the warp. It's the immaterium, the place of all things. So if you are that mentally fortified, that mentally strong, you can stave off horrifying demons. And all these girls,
I for sure would not survive there. My mental fortitude is not that strong.
Now, as much as a meme as they are, and
they look funny though.
Models look a lot like Ongo Gabloglian, yeah, which I can't unsee anymore. I gotta say, I love their design. I think they're extremely cool. They're another army that I'm currently collecting. They just released a whole new
tank
line
looks
of figures, very
freaking cool,
and they look wonderful. Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint from the triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model. Those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over-the-top badassery in a lot of the Warhammer universe, and goddamn it is
on the tabletop. Can you drop a church on the enemy?
So cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, this is such a cool faction. By Bolter Shell, Flamer Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So it has been for 5 millennia.
Is there battle rap or battle poetry in Warhammer 40K?
And speaking of burning demons,
I can see.
Grey Knights.
The Grey Knights are the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition.
All right.
The Grey Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power.
Are they Space Marines? They're not Space Marines, right?
They are all Psychers. All of them have that crazy space magic magician shit. For every 100,000 guardsmen, there's one Grey Knight. For every 10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's one Grey Knight. For every 1,000 Space Marines, there's one Grey Knight. Grey Knights are the strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high level.
So they are
psychers,
Space Marines.
All of them able to specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is
so
right.
if they are
However,
Space
this
Marines
group is entirely
and they are
based on
Grey
doing
Knights,
that through
they
a
don't
myriad
belong
of
to
tactics.
any faction,
Coming
right?
from
But
the
they are
planet, or I guess the moon,
loyal
Titan in the solar
then,
system.
right?
The Grey Knights are thrown through extremely rigorous training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can be. Since the demons of the warp are the warp and your mind projects to the warp, people can go insane very fast, especially lower level psychers. These Grey Knights need to be able to harness the warp in the presence of demons and stay perfectly sane. One of their characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. He has a demon blade, the black blade of Warhammer, and he has to have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them, use my power, use my strength, suck my penis, whatever the possibility.
Why would you keep that sword though? Why don't you just either destroy it or lock it away?
This thing whispers to him consistently, and he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets too close to it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure of heart and mind, and all the characters in the Grey Knights are basically like that. The only issue is that the Grey Knights have a scorched earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy.
Yeah.
So if I'm a guardsman and I'm fighting demons and the Grey Knights arrive and they kill all the demons, I'm a risk. And so guess who's not making it out of there? On the tabletop,
as soon as there are a demon standing next to you, you're dead?
They are fast strike groups.
They just kill everything and everyone?
You only have so many characters, but with it, you get in there, you're very tough, very tanky, you hit really hard, and you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but you don't have numbers, and so every dead Grey Knight hits really damn hard. They're fun, though, if you like that kind of fast striking kind of army. Oh, and also, Caldor Drago is a thing. We're not even going to get into Caldor Drago.
Who is that?
Right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am the hammer. I am
who is
the
that?
nail about his fist. I am the spear in his hand. Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the hammer. I am the sword. I am the shield. I
say it many times, but these quotes are just banger.
Grey Knights are pretty hardcore. They are as holy as you can get for a Space Marine. If you like Space Marines and you want to...
So like they are the strongest Space Marines?
Grey Knights. Now if you want to be holier and big, let's talk Imperial Knights.
Oh Lord, he coming!
Do you like gigantic walkers the size of homes?
Yes,
or
yes.
medium-sized buildings? Do you want to kill heretics, but you want to kill like 40 of them per turn?
Yes.
Do you want a gigantic
They look so cool.
knight noble house style of walkers with giant chainsaw arms? Then you got Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old school like house feel to them, like literally like they're houses. Each Imperial Knight comes from a house, and each of them act in their own special way. These behemoth of walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths of squads in a couple shots, stepping
But one of
on
them
legions
just got
of troops.
sliced in half.
These things do not mess around, and they look so cool. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to discuss. They're just super big, heavy walkers, and they look different depending on your house or Chaos God you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just really cool if you want to murder
Chaos God you
everything in your
currently
path.
believe
the big,
in.
scary, big unit of Warhammer, and if you want to collect
The
them,
models
go to
look
town.
so
They make for a
crazy. They
great
must be
painting
expensive as
project,
hell.
too. Getting more back down to earth, let's talk something about a little bit different, a little more gold.
Adeptus
If guardsmen
Custodes.
are regular soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers, Grey Knights are super soldiers,
Yes.
The Adeptus Custodes are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodes are the third major army I own. I know.
Wait,
three
so they
armies.
are
I know,
even
I
stronger
got
than
carried
Grey
away,
Knights?
Okay, but that's all. I only have 3. Okay. They are our final brand of Space Marines, but these ones are super special. Okay.
How?
If a guardsman is 6 foot, a Space Marine is 7 feet, a custodian is 8 feet. These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra. Earth, Terra. Themselves. These are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room. Hence, Custodes. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted people. They're not humans brought up by
whom?
gene
Like,
seers.
who
These are
crafted
all
them?
Handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall, and functionally immortal. They stand still, spear in hand, for hundreds of years.
So they do
without the need to
nothing?
sleep and barely even the need to eat, watching over the
They are
throne
literally
room
the
and
strongest
every other
thing
area of
that the
Holy
humanity
Terra
has to offer, and
for
they do
their
nothing?
entire purpose in life. And oh my lord, are they terrifying. These custodians put Space Marines to shame. If you like your
what?
super soldiers, these are your super mega soldiers. One of these men can take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal favorite, the Aquilan Shield. The Aquilan Shield go out to seemingly unimportant individuals and protect them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives. For instance, let's say a regular guardsman gets the protection of this giant 8.5 foot tall golden god because that guardsman will end up becoming a general one day or something of that nature.
That is crazy fun. Imagine one day, like this behemoth, this giant of a man stand next to you and defends you and let's say your cat. Because your cat is a very big part of like your psychological, what do you call it? Like just your psyche. If you have your cat, you know how to nurture it, to feel for others and stuff like this. It helps your development in your character. And he's like, yeah, hurt anything, I'll end your whole species. that is what I imagine right now. Everything is cat based in my world.
The custodians work in mysterious ways and are almost always outnumbered, but never outmatched. These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop.
How many
as well
custodians
as in the lore.
exist?
There are very few of them, however, and there's actually
can you make
an
more?
small amount of them. But that's kind of the point. There's only so many of these people that can have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training this good. And the custodians have all 3 of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready, always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within, little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years, I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this: patience is a weapon.
What?
The custodians are the top dogs of the Imperium, and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here.
Did they fight? Did ever like someone come close to the Emperor so they could fight?
Fun, but they don't get enough attention. These kind of bald plume ladies are a whole group of pariahs, are also known as blanks. We'll be referring to them as blanks from now on. So as every mind is somewhat connected to the warp, these blanks are a genetic mutation that has it suppressed heavily. Because of that mind suppression, normal people feel this weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable and strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're, well, you know, killed or something at a very young age, because they just emit a horrifying aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it. All of them take
so the Adeptus Custodes
don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence,
are not psychers, so they are weak against the warp and like any influence.
If there's any kind of warp-based problem,
doesn't seem like a big problem.
Adept
or is it just
dealing
me?
With them, thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats, but they're not represented that way on the tabletop. In fact, they only have like one real model for them, which is very unfortunate. I hope they'll get something new soon because I think they should really be working together as it is that way in the lore, but hopefully we'll get there soon. But if we're talking about blanks, let's talk assassins.
What? Officio Assassinorum?
It's been a long video. We're about to round it out. We got this and one more human thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio Assassinorum, oh boy, these people are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man, these people will mess you up. So these are from the Officio Assassinorum.
Okay, so what is their job?
And they are handpicked by the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum from the what was it called? Schola Progenium. It's basically an orphan school. Your parents got murdered by demons or something, you get sent to this and you get trained to be whatever. Tempestus Drop Troop, an Inquisitor, maybe even. Maybe you get a blank gene and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken, however, you go to one of 4 temples because the Assassinorum works in the temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor temples.
I don't know any of them.
I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks. Poof! The Vindicare temple is the main sniper point. Gigantic sniper rifles for all these assassins. Their whole point is to be able to be in a spot and sit there, eye and scope.
So they're like the Raven Guard in a way, right?
For their perfect target, taking people out from literal
or
miles
maybe
away after extremely long time periods. The Vindicare Temple is about precise, perfect aim. There have been reports of Vindicares being able to single out particular body parts from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot, time is done, packs them up. The Calidus Temple, however, is a lot more about shape-shifting and deviant art. It's mostly a female-based one, or at least it seems to be, and this allows a lot of body augmentation.
It's crazy that I never have heard of any of them. I didn't think that the humans had like a special assassin school.
Assassins will end up taking missions that take them years, 2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up, just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed, or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And
that is some dedication.
Lots of drawings. The Eversor Temple, just kind of disturbing one. The Eversor Temple is about when you don't want anything to come back alive, friend or foe. You want it all dead.
They all look not human anymore.
Is psychogenically conditioned with just psychotherapy and psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger.
So it's similar like Angron.
Style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning, I guess is the term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs and they cryo-freeze you. And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything is dead. And then you defrost, full of just all this insane, mind-boggling psychotherapy and psychedelic drugs. And you just go to town. Yeah, if you don't care if anyone
they
comes
just
back
deep
alive.
freeze
Like, all right, lost cause,
a junkie.
Send them in. Finally, there's the most bizarre temple, the Caluxus Temple. The Caluxus assassins are feared even among the other temples.
What?
So that blank gene, the people will go to the Caluxus Temple with this as well. And this is where they can harness that to be massively anti-psyker or even just anti-regular people. They are seen with extreme fear and distrust among many, many people. They are described by the Eldar by quote as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable feeling from that blank gene I mentioned, and then imagine them being
the
taught
Eldar
and
are
given
already,
equipment
oh no,
to
the Dark
amplify it
Eldar
by
are like
100.
pure evil,
If
right?
normally regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker, oh no, the sheer presence of a Custodes assassin is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out and rip your nails off than even being near this person.
That
the
seems
Custodes assassin is when you want
slightly
psychers
OP.
to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees and ask you to gun them down because it is a suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The motto of that temple is, "That which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear." Now, for the tabletop, assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what Imperium faction you are, and they do a lot of work for themselves, but at the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse.
That's kind of cool that
And they work the way you
every
generally
faction
want them
can
to,
make
though.
use of
You want
them.
to cause some distortion and weird stuff, you take a Custodes. You want to just murder swaths of infantry and then blow up Eversor. You want to kill that one guy, Vindicator, and if you have a lot of psychers, Custodes. It's a nice little like jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you want to kill. And you get to choose which is really fun. But now,
That's cool.
let's talk about the last human faction. We can round this video out before we do part 2, the Inquisition. And we have a lot to talk
Inquisition.
about with them.
I also don't know about them at all.
Oh boy. Where do I even begin with the Inquisition? Take every secret police you can think of. The KGB, the Gestapo, the CIA, FBI, any of these kinds of people.
All right.
And then mark it up by about 10. And
But
give
all
them
is already,
the most
like,
power in the entire
Pushed up
Imperium.
completely.
No, you know what? How about this? This right here, it's not just a quote. This is the Imperial motto, the motto of the Inquisition.
Okay.
I apologize for my bad pronunciation. Innocentia nihil probat. Innocence proves nothing.
What?
The most powerful organization
What?
in the Imperium, the secret police,
But-
their #1 motto
but-
is innocence proves
What
nothing.
proves stuff
The
then?
Inquisition goes around like the secret police or like detectives to find issues in the Imperium. And they have different ordos depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus, the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious, they deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and Malleus is demons. They all have different specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them, as an Inquisitor, has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship
But-
and a crew, and they go out to find
Are
problems
they
and
also like
interrogate
trained, or
people.
like what is their
lot.
stake?
They are
What makes
above
what
the
makes them
law
what
in
makes them so
every
strong?
department.
How
Over
can they deal with
Space
demons? How can they deal with
Now, the
like
Space
heretics?
Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors. They are looking to investigate and figure out coups and cults and demonic incursions and possible Xenos issues like gene stealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning that stuff and actually doing detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit power hungry and frantic sometimes. And yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot
Alright.
of time being very diligent.
Yeah. So
to make
so
sure
what
that
if
all
someone
these leads they
of the
follow are
Inquisition
properly
like
correct? They're basically
corrupts
space
or becomes
detectives
heretic?
with just enormous power and sometimes a bit of a power complex. And we haven't even talked about Exterminatus yet. Exterminatus. Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved. I deem that this planet is demon infested, and taking it back will cost too many resources and is not worth it.
What?
I have now committed Exterminatus on
What?
this planet.
They have a Death
I will
Star?
now sign the death warrant of an entire Imperium planet, as it is unfit to take and better to be destroyed than allow the enemy to hold it. This can mean saturation bombardment. This can mean cracking the planet's core and breaking it apart. Doesn't
And that
matter.
costs less
Render this
resources?
planet inhospitable to all life. Yes, the innocence proves nothing people are the only people who can choose this planet must die in its entirety. Yeah, you're playing the villain. Now, it is memed a lot, but most Inquisitors are very rare to do Exterminatus. Exterminatus is
Why?
a very crazy thing. There's
Wait.
only so many.
Am I missing something here? Maybe I'm missing something here, but if the Inquisition has like the option to just destroy whole planets, I don't know, can he not just like fly to I don't know, a Necron infested planet and like boom, get rid of it? Fly to an orc infested planet and it's like, hey, yeah, the orcs, too many. They also like hard to exterminate. Just planet, boom. Can they not just do that? I mean, maybe there is some defense, I guess, in the space that other ships like defend them, but is that not possible? Or is this literally just for the Imperium side of planets? They only deal with like planets that are in the Imperium. Someone tell me. I'm curious about this now. Very curious.
Worlds that you don't want to destroy all of them. Now, naturally, with the memes aside, there are some people who are a little bit rough on this one.
Fetus
But most
Crypt Man?
Inquisitors generally don't like to do Exterminatus a ton, but it is an option they have. And it's a crazy option when you think about it. Secret Police Inquisition are unfortunately not represented on the tabletop very much. You generally kind of put one in your army if you feel like it. You have a couple special options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well, and personally they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort put into them, and they're not quite where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk about a big story of a whole bunch of space marines killing something, right? It's just a big battle story. It's not as interesting.
This is
Having that
more
intrigue,
intrigue,
that
drama, I
moral
guess.
dilemma that an Inquisitor has makes for a lot better media. And honestly, the more people do it, I think it's better, because then it adds a little more humanity to the Warhammer horrible, horrible grim darkness. And wow, we just finished the humans. All right, come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos, because we got to talk about the 4 Chaos gods and all the Chaos Marine legions and the Tau and the Necrons and the Orcs.
To be honest, I really want to know
We got
more
a lot.
about them as well.
I'll see you in part 2.
That was such a good video. It's old at this point. I know it's not like the newest video, but it's really good and still topical, I would say. Bricky makes very good content. I love to watch long videos because they don't feel long. It's like, oh, time over, I guess. That's it. Anyway, that was really great. Sorry, I feel like sometimes I was just like listening and just like paying attention and not really adding much. So I'm sorry for that. I'm not sure if that is actually interesting for some people to watch my video now. Probably it's better to just watch Bricky's video. But I had some questions, and if like, just like the previous video I made about Warhammer, a lot of people gave me so much lore, context, and stuff that I just didn't know and thought was so interesting. So maybe again, there are like some Warhammer people who just feel the need to help me out here, then would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm gonna watch part 2, not right now, a little bit later, to be honest. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Check out Bricky for sure, and see you next time, right? Bye.